Alright, so this piece is by... Actually, I can't say that. It's hard to say. Okay, so the piece is to blow away a wall. It says it's easy. Close your eyes, concentrate, and blow. So I'm going to stand on the X, and I'm going to close my eyes and concentrate. And then blow. And then you imagine it falling down. Like that.
Did you imagine it falling down?
I actually did. Which would be interesting. It's a very big wall.
It is a very big wall.
My current definition of art, art is just a way to express anything. It is just another form of expression. Art can be pretty much anything. And my favorite type of art is sculpture. So that's how I choose to express my feelings and, my creative abilities.
Conventionally, art is like a deliberate expression. It doesn't even have to be visual, right? It could be sound-based or experiential. Yeah. So art is such a big discipline.
That's definitely one that's changed through my my time. It started out as making things that looked like the things around you and making them look pretty. And since coming to Austin Peay, that has changed. It's more about meaning and anything is art, really. Somebody had to make that chair. They had to design it for you. Somebody had to design how to make a printer and a computer. So everything is art in a sense. I don't think anything can really be thrown out of the category of art.
Hi, my name's Haley.
So I'm Jamie Lee Luthi.
I'm doing a BFA, so studio art is my major. But I'm definitely focusing in sculptural work, so.
So as a BFA student, you have to have a senior exhibition, and this is my senior show.
I like to work with my hands. I like to create a space. I love to use different materials, see what they can do, test the limits. So it is a lot of fun to get dirty and just try new things and just I source a lot of my material too. So if I find something that inspires me, then I'll incorporate it into a piece, and then I'll kind of just build a concept around that. So. It depends on the piece. I have some pieces that are very hard to look at, or very they do touch on serious subjects like sexual abuse or sexual assault. Sometimes my art can be not for everybody, or maybe it's hard to look at for some people. But honestly, it just depends on the piece. Each piece means something different to me, and it will mean something different to you. So it's kind of just what you take from it, and it's like a fun little game every time. So you just see what you see. I have some charcoal painting, or some charcoal drawings, and then all these watercolor paintings came from just hours of me just sketching in my house. They all came from this notebook. Just mini sketches. They change, of course, but yeah, they all just came from just hours of me just drawing and just spending my time like that. And then I just decided to make giant watercolor paintings. I have never done a big collection of paintings ever, so this is my first one pretty much. And it was just months of me just painting everything I could. Trying to teach myself, learn new techniques, just how the paint and the water and the paper works all together was really interesting. It was really fun to teach myself. I haven't been able to take any painting classes here yet, but I definitely am doing that next semester. So these are the first of many paintings that I will do probably.
I don't know that I have like a specific audience, but I definitely want to make people start thinking about who they are to other people, who those people they interact with are, and what they mean to each other, and start having conversations about who those people are and how they're changing each other's lives. So each interaction, when you first hear it, I remember when we went through critiques, everybody was passing it around and they were like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. But it's in a fun way. It really makes you have this like one-on-one personal experience. You're enclosed in this small space, and the voice that you are projecting and they are projecting to you is echoing. And so while you're thinking about who this person is to you in a deep way, it just keeps repeating and bouncing around in your head and bringing up new ideas and new thoughts. So you're not just somebody that I met on the street. You're somebody that is coming in and interested in art, interested in what we do in the art department, who we are, and that we are people, which I think is really special, that you're sharing it with other people. So good job.
Oh yeah, thanks.
We were walking up and down the hallway, people I didn't know, and you could hear them walk up to it, whispered about what that was going on, and like what all was happening. And I was like, oh wow, that's actually me. That's not like we're at the Friss Art Museum and it's Frida Kahlo's work on exhibit. And hearing people's response to it, everybody's a different person. That we all connect is kind of the theme of this, but we are all different people and we all make different connections in our heads. So seeing a heart, somebody might be like stressed out about it. Somebody else might think of love. Like the different ways our bodies think and come up with thoughts is so interesting. They're all so different. And that makes us so special. So yeah.
Dr. Toni Morris, Department Chair of Art and Design. PhD is in art history, sort of 20th century American art. And I'm particularly interested in like queer masculinities, like Andy Warhol and others. Yeah. So excellent question. So my undergraduate degree is a Bachelor of Fine Arts in studio art. So I took the drawing classes and graphic design classes and painting classes. I'm a much better historian than I was an artist. But I do think that background in having the experience of making makes me a better art historian because I understand what goes into the production of those artworks. So, yeah. My dissertation was on an artist named Paul Cadmus, who was New York based in the 1930s. And he was recognized as being one of the first gay men in American art to make that part of his identity very visible and open. At that time, I was considering myself a Depression-era American art scholar. And since starting here, my research has become more contemporary art, but sort of continuing that thread from Paul Cadmus through Andy Warhol and the others. So it just sort of where the research interest ended up taking me, right? And it's sort of a history that is still being written. So lots of room to research it. When I was in graduate school, someone asked me what kind of school I want to teach at. And at the time I said, whatever school will hire me, I'd like to work at. And they said, no, but like, do you want to mine the gem or polish it? And I thought it was a really beautiful way of saying it. I've taught at schools where people are very privileged and they've traveled the world and they've been in all these museums and they kind of sit back like, go ahead, what can you teach me about this, right? But I'm a minor, right? So being in Austin Peay, where a lot of the students, they don't have a lot of art history background from high school. So oftentimes they're hearing it for the first time from me, and there's an enthusiasm that comes with that, and I really enjoy that. So art history classes on occasion, right, where they're writing research papers or taking exams and plagiarism, and we handle it just like anybody else would on campus, right? But in the studio classes, it's interesting, where they're making work or graphic design or artwork, because oftentimes people think, well, it has to be original, right? But anytime you're putting paint on a canvas, it's not original. There's hundreds of years people have been putting paint on canvas, right? Maybe your flowers look a little different than somebody else's, but who cares? And there's actually, in postmodern art, there's what's called appropriation art, where you're copying Picasso in order to critique Picasso, right? Mm-hmm. And the way he painted women and people of color is problematic, so there's lots of artists who will appropriate the image of Picasso to create a new context for the work. So in that sense, we are encouraging students all the time to do things like that, right? And where is that plagiarism, where is it not, is an interesting conversation that we often have around here. And sometimes the students get upset with each other because, someone incorporates yarn into their painting. And someone else says, oh, I was going to incorporate yarn into my work and now I can't do it. And we're like, you can both have yarn in your work, right? Plagiarism when it comes to research papers is the same problem it is elsewhere on campus. But when it comes to making artwork, it's all fair game.
The critiques are the most serious day of class. That's the day where you come. That's like your normal test day for us. That's the day where you come and you basically your stuff set up in the gallery and you're in front of your entire class and you're giving your spiel on your piece, how it was constructed, what it means, what we're supposed to get from it. And it is very nerve-wracking sometimes because everyone has to give their opinion on it. And it is a very safe space. It's a very comfortable space. We're all here to learn and share and grow from everybody else. So yeah, it can be nerve-wracking, but it's a really good time. It's a really good experience, and we have to do it. So yeah, we don't really get much of a choice on that.
Things that happens in every one of our classes are the class critiques, where you did your assignment and you hang it on the wall and you stand in front of everybody else in class and you explain the choices you made, why you think it works, and then people give you feedback. Sometimes it's tough to hear that feedback because sometimes they're not seeing what you intended for them to see. They're going to tell you, and you're still standing at the front of the room hearing them and then addressing it in the discussion. And there's a strength that comes from that as a result of that, right? This repeated critique process. And I would say, someday our students are going to be able to walk into their boss's office and say, I think I deserve a raise. And here's why, right? Because they're getting that skill set. And there's not a lot of departments on campus where you put your work on display for everybody and get feedback on it in front of them, right? Really, it's something that's kind of unique to the creative arts. That's really kind of valuable, I think.
All my pieces are about people in my life, and this one's about the viewer, because there's this conversation between an artist and the viewer, and it's had through the artwork. So my words are going through the tube, your words are going through the tube, and we're having this conversation that normally wouldn't happen. But this allows everybody else to have this thought of who those people are, this kind of interaction, thinking about people.
So you're taking a peek on the inside, so yeah, it'll have that kind of feel, and I'm going to do some smaller pieces too. I'm going to fill the lampshades with this kind of material too, so it'll be like a tunnel vision effect. So it will be interesting to see how it turns out. So I'm really excited. Honestly, I think our art department is really good. We have a really strong, educated art department, and they have a lot of resources for art students on campus and opportunities for artists to get their work out and educate them and stuff like that. So in that regard, I think Austin Peay is doing a really good job.
Great opportunities for our students that don't exist at other schools. You know, last summer we partnered with the Chautauqua Institute in New York, and we had 2 of our top students spend 7 weeks this summer working with some of the best curators and museum directors from New York City at the Chautauqua Institute. So it was a kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our students. And a lot of that is because of the Center of Excellence for Creative Arts. You know, we have 2 of our superstars from last year went right into like top-tier graduate programs. So they're working on their MFAs right now, and we're so proud of them. Our graphic design students oftentimes find jobs at graphic design firms, or even build their own companies, beginning with freelance graphic design, and build enough of a clientele that, you know, they've got their own company. And those are really great successes that we can point to.
Well, definitely my dream job is to like own my own studio and you know, produce my own work just as an independent artist, or shadow another artist, to have that experience, to gain that knowledge. I would like to go to grad school after, but that's really expensive and really hard to get into. So I mean, we'll see. That's the plan though. So we'll see how that goes.
Not so much at home, but the painting over there and this one over my desk, these are both by Kahari Turner, who just graduated last year. He's one of the students who went to the Chautauqua Institute over the summer. And currently he's at Columbia University working on his MFA in New York City. So that one I purchased out of a student show about 3 years ago. And then after I bought that, there were a lot of faculty who were admiring it, and so Kahari brought a whole bunch of his paintings to campus to sell to professors, and I ended up buying that one because I had a colleague who, she's like, I don't know which one to get. And I was like, I'll get whichever one you don't get. Yeah, so Kahari Turner, one of our graduates, is probably, he's the only artist for whom I've got 2 artworks by. So, yeah.
Nick Cave is a sculpture that I really enjoy. Yeah, I saw him at the first not too probably like 2 years ago. It was an incredible changing experience, just because he takes his sculptural pieces. Not only does he like make these huge sound suits, but he's creating a performance. Like his art is very performance based, and I love that aspect. And so I kind of I like to tie that into a little bit of my sculptural work too. So
she really put me down this semester. It's the first time I ever made a scene in my entire art career, and it really got me down. She was basically telling me that I shouldn't be from art field, that I wasn't good enough. So I had kept this failed painting in my house, and I stared at it every day, and I don't know if I was beating myself up or what I was doing by staring at it. But I finally came to this conclusion: it's time to move on. And the piece beside it, this is the actual painting that's been talking about. And that is me with my painting instructor outside of college, who's really my biggest mentor. And he has always encouraged me to continue my pursuit of art, that I am somebody, and that doing art is a good thing. Like, I should continue it and share it with other people. And he encourages by patting on the back when he walks by. He always happens to have paint on his hands when he does that, so you have a bit of him on you as you leave his studio, as he leaves his painted hand print on your back. So yeah.